We thought we'd have a little bit of fun, take a look at some of the players that we think need a bounce back year in 2024. So we picked 3 players each that we're going to take a look at that we think this year really need to find a way to just, bam, come on back. Frank, I'll let you go first, good sir, as the player that you think needs, on the top of your head, first guy off the block that you think needs to bounce back in 2024.
This is easy. This is, drafting Caleb
This
Williams
is
first
easy.
overall.
Frank is not impressed with your exercise.
No, I'm glad you gave me the first pick because this should just be the Deshaun Watson list, right? Like, we've talked so much about Deshaun, and if he doesn't do it this year, it's just done. Like, you have to, the Cleveland Browns will have to do the Russell Wilson thing and just suck it up and be like, whatever the cap hits are, they are. We just got to move on. This is it for him. You can make excuses for 2022. Can make injury excuses for 2023. I don't think you can make any more excuses for 2024. Either Deshaun Watson does it or he doesn't. I mean, this is it. This is his time. The Browns are set up, I believe, to be Super Bowl contenders. I think they can win a Super Bowl. I think that's how good they are. I do have faith that Deshaun Watson can bounce back. I know you really don't share that, Fitz. I don't know about Jori's opinion on Deshaun Watson as a quarterback. I think he could be good, but I also know if he stinks this year again, that's just done. Like whatever ramifications there are from moving on from him, that's what's got to happen because this is his make or break year.
What if he's just okay?
Yeah, I think you keep going with him. That okay quarterbacks get paid like $50 million now, right? Like that's how
this okay quarterback's getting paid a lot more than $50 million.
Yeah.
I think it's challenging because the reason I don't view him in a make or break year is because they're so committed money wise to him. And they can win a lot that it's not like they're going to get this super high pick because they're going to be too good to get a great draft spot and draft a cheap replacement. And if I understand over the cap correctly, it's like $136 million pre-June 1st, over $100 million, even if you do a post-June 1st cut. And so, like, Sean Payton is stubborn enough to do that with Russell Wilson. I don't think the Browns organization is stubborn enough to do that with Deshaun Watson. I think there would need to be something else. I think also there are a lot of guys who probably know, like, hey, we made this bet, and however this ends is going to reflect on our legacies, on our job securities. I mean, look, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have both been extended. So, like, they've done so many good things, and in a lot of ways, one in spite of Deshaun Watson. But I'm just curious because I think that there's a lot of reasons, and I know we've talked about this on this podcast, to view him more of like an Odell Beckham Jr., where you have an early amazing career and then you just never get back to that point. But Cleveland believes he's going to get back to that point. I just don't know. Like, when have we seen a quarterback be so mediocre to bad to absent for that many years and then all of a sudden be great? Like, this is not like Geno Smith coming out years into his career because he didn't have that same opportunity that Deshaun Watson had. He didn't have the same layoff Deshaun Watson had. Like, I can't think of a parallel where we've seen this work before.
To your point with the Browns, though, like, when you're in a bad relationship and you just don't want to be, like, alone, sometimes you just figure out, like, hey, you know what, it's fine. It's going to work out. I feel like that's what the Browns know, that they're stuck. They know there's nothing they can do about it. So they're just, putting a beautiful tuxedo on a pig. Like, there is some point here where you just look at it and say, man, I think he's got the yips. I don't think he's going to get through that. I don't think the Browns are ever going to acknowledge that. What I think it's really curious to me is I believe the Browns are a Super Bowl caliber roster. I keep saying that. I think even if Deshaun's only okay, they could win 12 games this year. What do you do if you have an okay quarterback, you win 12 games, and then you take on a great quarterback in the playoffs and you lose? Like, that's more, I think, the life of a Browns fan for the next couple of years is like, you're going to have a team that's good enough to win a bunch of football games, but you do not have a quarterback that I would risk my money on beating Mahomes or Allen or Burrow in a playoff game, right? So, like,
Fitz, you said it. This is my argument for the Browns. They could win 12 games if he's just okay. We've seen Deshaun Watson be a top 6 quarterback in the NFL, 7, whatever you want to call it. What if he's that again? Are they going to win 14? Like, seriously, that's their ceiling. If Deshaun Watson is the guy we saw with the Houston Texans before he quit on them and wanted to get traded and he got all of his shenanigans.
It wasn't that quiet, was it?
It actually was not quiet at all. He pretty loudly quit. What if we get that guy? What if Deshaun Watson does rebound all that way? And 2022 was just a lost season because of suspension. The last season was just the injuries. What if he's that top 5-6 guy again? All of a sudden, the Cleveland Browns are the best team in football. The best team in football. Clearly.
And Fitz, like, when you say, I don't know if Deshaun Watson can beat a Mahomes, a Allen, a Burrow, my question is, does Deshaun Watson need to, or does he need to just not get in the way of his team beating them, because Myles Garrett can go after those guys, a bunch of guys on that defense. There's so many other people who can contribute. Nick Chubb will be healthy again this year. Like, he doesn't have to do this on his own.
You're both very, very right. I'll believe it when I see it, but I think also, to your point, Frank, you're right that he needs to have a bounce back in 24, in my mind, just because otherwise this chatter gets louder and louder and louder, and I don't think there's a lot of proof of concept that they are going to be able to shut out the noise from